everyone! Welcome to my channel Creepy Narratives. Today, I'm thrilled to share more spine-chilling stories that have actually happened to me and others who have experienced these so-called creepy scenarios. These incidents were so eerie, creepy and strange that they had us questioning the very reality that we knew. So, sit back, relax and prepare to be captivated by the enigma of these creepy narratives. Welcome to my nightmare. I think that you're going to like it. Enjoy. Let's start with story number 1. Story number 1. The enigmatic encounter in Alabama woods. Around 1971 or 1972, I was just 14 or 15 years old, living in the rural heart of Alabama near Montevallo. Our family was large, with my parents, 3 sisters, and my younger brother, the baby of the family. Life was simple but tough. One weekend during the cool autumn months, my father decided it was time to impart a valuable skill to us all: self-defense with a rifle. Our modest upbringing and the neighborhoods we lived in weren't always safe, so my father wanted to ensure we could protect ourselves if the need ever arose. With that in mind, he took us into the woods for some target practice. It was later in the fall, and the trees had shed their leaves, carpeting the forest floor in a colorful quilt of red and gold. The woods were a good distance from the nearest road, a place far removed from civilization. As we were setting up our makeshift shooting range, the tranquility of the woods was suddenly shattered by the distant roar of a car engine. This deep in the woods, such a sound was entirely out of place. My father, a rugged and unflinching man, was visibly startled. His expression turned serious as he ordered all of us to hide beneath a pile of leaves, and he joined us in concealment. We watched in fear and awe as a man emerged from the car, dragging a woman's lifeless body out and unceremoniously dumping her in the forest. With a cold chill running down my spine, I couldn't tear my eyes away from the gruesome scene. The man then sped away, leaving us in a stunned silence. My father, despite his gun, was evidently shaken to his core. He insisted that we stay hidden until he was sure the man had gone. When the coast was clear, we cautiously emerged from our leafy hideout. The woman, whom we had just seen dumped in the woods, was still alive. She sat up and locked eyes with us, her gaze a mixture of fear and resignation. My father approached her gently and asked if she needed help, but she declined in silence. It was puzzling. She appeared unhurt and had made no attempt to resist when the man had dragged her from the car. With the ominous incident lingering in our minds, my father decided to cut our shooting lesson short and quickly ushered us back home. On the way, as we walked along the trail leading to the dirt road where our car was parked, we unexpectedly crossed paths with the man in the blue Ford Galaxy. My heart raced as I noticed a massive machete lying on the front seat beside him. My father, never one to back down from a challenge, made sure the man could see he was armed with a rifle. We all maintained an eerie silence, not wanting to provoke the man. He engaged my father in a casual conversation, asking about our activities in the woods. My father explained that we had been out for target practice. Strangely, the man wished us a pleasant day and continued on his way. The next day, my father went back to the same spot in the woods, only to find no trace of the woman's body. Instead, he discovered her purse, some tissues, and a pair of eyeglasses. He collected these items and brought them home. According to my father, that particular area of the woods had a sinister reputation for shallow graves and being a dumping ground for bodies. When he walked through the door with the woman's belongings, I couldn't contain my fear any longer. I burst into hysterics, convinced that the man had murdered her. My father, concerned for my well-being, took the items to the police station. But from what I recall, we never heard any updates on the investigation. There was one chilling piece of information, however. Early one morning, my grandmother called to warn us not to take the bus to school because that car was waiting for us at the bus stop. Let's go to story number 2. Story number 2. Stalked abroad, a terrifying ordeal. This harrowing tale unfolds roughly 5 years ago when I was fresh out of university with a degree in international development. My passion was to make a meaningful difference in underserved communities worldwide, and I was eager to explore the world. At the time, I was young, idealistic, and unseasoned. I leaped at one of the first job offers that came my way, despite it not aligning perfectly with my aspirations. Nevertheless, it promised to take me to an entirely new part of the world, and the allure of that adventure was irresistible. When I arrived at my destination, I was greeted by breathtaking landscapes bathed in sunlight and adorned with lush greenery. The warmth of my local colleagues, all kind-hearted and welcoming, immediately enveloped me. My boss extended invitations to play soccer with his family on Sundays, and I quickly formed close bonds with my fellow project coordinator. My expat roommate was a spunky and fun companion, and I felt genuinely blessed by the connections I was making. However, my sense of security would soon shatter into 1,000 pieces. It happened during an innocuous trip to a vibrant vegetable and fruit market. This market was a hidden gem, offering the freshest produce directly from local farmers. The market was located about a 20-minute bus ride from my apartment, which made it a convenient spot to stock up on groceries. On this particular day, I had ventured to the market with a friend, excitedly selecting the best fruits and vegetables. As we prepared to call a cab to help us carry our bounty back home, an unsettling voice disrupted the bustling ambience. Hey miss, the voice called out, and to my horror, the stranger began reciting my exact address. I turned to see a man leaning out of his car, slowly creeping alongside us. My friend's puzzled expression mirrored my own, as we exchanged uncertain glances. Did I know this man? It was a question that hung heavy in the air, one that I couldn't answer. The man continued to recite my address, his words drilling into my sense of safety and privacy. The situation escalated as my friend recognized my address too. Panic began to wash over me. I had never seen this man before. What unsettled me even more was that he knew where I lived, or so he claimed. My chest tightened, and I hesitated to reach for my phone. With a lump in my throat, I decided to keep walking, hoping to find safety around the corner. The man persisted, shouting at me and demanding that I acknowledge him. I was torn between calling for help and fearing what this stranger might do if I reached for my phone. My rapid footsteps echoed in my ears as I quickened my pace, but the man matched my every step. His tone grew increasingly aggressive, and my heart pounded in my chest. "Why are you ignoring me?" he barked, his anger palpable. "You don't just ignore a man like that." The menacing atmosphere thickened, and I considered the possibilities. What if he stopped the car? He appeared fit and young, capable of causing harm. Panic surged through me as I visualized the terrifying scenarios that could unfold. In a moment of desperate defiance, I resorted to a bizarre tactic that would later seem utterly illogical. I unleashed a torrent of wild and furious shouts, hurling curses and threats. Strangely, I chose to do so in my native language, one that this stranger could not possibly understand. The look of confusion mixed with anger on his face was etched into my memory. To my immense relief, my outburst seemed to work. He slowed his car, allowing me to gain some distance. Up ahead, I spotted a woman waiting at a bus stop. It was my chance to find safety in numbers. As I reached her, the man suddenly vanished, his presence evaporating into thin air. With my heart still pounding, I continued my journey home, constantly glancing over my shoulder with every step. The fear and uncertainty gnawed at me, and I couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched. When I confided in my roommate about the incident, she discouraged me from reporting it to the local police, citing their corruption and ineffectiveness. My boss, upon hearing my ordeal, offered his support, even pledging to come to my aid armed with a baseball bat whenever I called. Weeks passed, but the man's haunting presence persisted. Not every day, but once or twice a week, he would reappear, always lurking nearby. He never made a move to physically harm me, but the fear of the unknown weighed heavily on my mind. I began relying on cabs for transportation and avoided walking alone whenever possible. The specter of that enigmatic stranger continued to haunt me, an unsettling chapter in my life that defied explanation and left me forever changed. Are you ready for story number 3? Story number 3. A harrowing night abroad. Traveling alone in a foreign country can be exhilarating, but it can also stir up moments of intense fear and vulnerability. One such night during my overseas adventure left me sleepless, clutching my blanket, and fearing for my life. It was my final weekend abroad, and the anticipation of reuniting with my family was building within me. I couldn't wait to escape the haunting presence that had shadowed my stay. The constant unease of being watched had drained me, and I yearned for the comfort of my home country. On that ominous night, I decided to celebrate the conclusion of my contract with a group of newfound friends. There were 4 of us, and we chose a local bar for a revelry. As the evening wore on, I found solace in the thought that soon I'd be leaving this foreign land behind. Around 1 a.m., we attempted to hail a cab, but the congested streets made it a futile effort. The roads were packed with revelers, and taxi services were overwhelmed. Frustrated, we contemplated our options. Despite the warnings from concerned locals not to walk back, we decided it would be faster than waiting for a cab, especially as a group of 4. We convinced ourselves that no one would dare to hassle us. Our journey began well, with laughter and camaraderie lighting up our path. But as we approached a dimly lit main road with no streetlights, a chilling apprehension gripped us. It was eerily deserted, not a soul in sight. Suddenly, bright headlights emerged from the darkness, and we turned to see an approaching police car. My heart plummeted as I recognized the driver, the very man who had been tormenting me throughout my stay, a corrupt cop. Panic coursed through me, and my friends' expressions revealed their fear as well. The police car slowed down, and the driver rolled down his window, nonchalantly striking up a conversation. My friends and I were acutely aware of the perilous situation we were in. We were alone on a desolate street in the dead of night, and these officers were armed. We knew that no one would intervene. It was far too dangerous. The officer behind the wheel casually offered us a ride, while his grinning companion echoed the invitation. Dread enveloped me as I recalled the torment I had endured over the past few days. This was it. I thought this was how it would all end. We quickened our pace, attempting to distance ourselves from the approaching danger. Then, out of nowhere, another car appeared, its headlights illuminating our precarious predicament. It was an elderly couple, and they slowed down, concern etched on their faces. They sensed that something terrible was about to transpire. Although I didn't witness it, I heard the car door swing open as they sped past us, creating distance between us and the ominous officer. The other car lingered, watching over us. The compassionate couple offered to escort us home, driving alongside our group, vigilant just in case. Though I couldn't shake the fear that the corrupt cop might return, nothing untoward occurred that night. To ensure our safety, we opted to take a cab to my friend's place for the night, bringing my roommate along as a precaution. The last 2 days of my stay were uneventful, but the lingering fear remained. Even when I finally returned to my home country, it took a while for the terror to ebb away. To this day, I feel uneasy when cars approach from behind, and when strangers roll down their windows to address me, my heart races with anxiety. Though it's never him, the fear continues to haunt me. Let's continue with story number 4. Story number 4. Tense night on the front lines. It was a crisp Saturday evening around 9 p.m., and I found myself seated in the passenger seat of an armed response vehicle. My trusted friend, Adam, a seasoned firearms officer with 7 years of experience, took the driver's seat. Our mission, patrolling a problematic estate in the northern precinct of our city. As we ventured through the dimly lit streets, little did I know that this night would soon unfold into a harrowing experience, putting us on the front lines of a volatile situation. The atmosphere inside the vehicle was a mix of anticipation and readiness. We had already seized a stolen moped and aided in a road traffic collision earlier in the evening, but an urgent call over the radio was about to catapult us into an entirely different scenario. The radio crackled to life, delivering the message we had been dreading: all hotel units, respond to Orchard Road for an active firearms deployment. We swiftly geared up, discussing our equipment and tactics for the impending mission. We were poised for whatever challenges lay ahead. As we approached the address on Orchard Road, the tension in the vehicle was palpable. We were mentally preparing ourselves for an unpredictable situation. Multiple incident logs had reported screams, bangs, and threats emanating from the address, and our mission was clear: resolve the crisis. With the estate now in sight, our radios remained quiet as we raced towards the unfolding incident. It was only a matter of moments before we would be facing a high-stakes scenario. Upon our arrival at the property, a swarm of police vehicles already lined the streets. Cordons had been established, and a dog van was parked at the scene with the handler positioned at the front door. The gravity of the situation was undeniable. I reported our arrival over the radio, ensuring that our unit was accounted for. Adam maneuvered the vehicle to a strategic location as we prepared to assist in any way necessary. Our gear included G36 carbines, a symbol of our readiness for what lay ahead. I also carried a less lethal AEP launcher, just in case. We were briefed by a response officer on the ground, who explained the grim situation inside the property. 2 females were trapped inside, with one holding the other hostage. The tension in the air was palpable, and the suspect was making threats to both officers and the hostage. We devised a plan to approach cautiously, tasers at the ready. Negotiations would be our first line of action, with an emergency search as our contingency plan if the situation escalated. With our hearts racing, we approached the front of the house. Officers were strategically positioned, with 2 holding tasers at the ready. The dog handler stood by, his K9 companion poised for action. The remaining officers provided cover, one of them attempting to establish communication with the subject inside. As we prepared to enter the property, the weight of the situation bore down on us. The fate of the 2 women inside depended on our ability to navigate this tense and potentially explosive scenario.